he's having trouble using the N bar indicators. I'm not familiar with the N bar indicators. Let me take a look here. Oh, right. N bars up and N bars down. Well, all right. Let me add N bars up here. And all right. So let's see. What are we dealing with here? Okay. So we get some kind of an output here. So we get an output of 1. And interesting enough, this kind of looks like a BloodHound output. Yeah, so it looks like it'll give you an output once it finds, I thought I put a setting of 5 in there. 5. All right, so once we get to 5 plus 1, it'll give you an output. There we go. Here's a few more. So we have 2 outputs there. Looks like it's excluding engulfing bars. Well, all right, in any case, yeah, the question is, David's having difficulty using that indicator. So let's take a look. So, right, this indicator runs in its own sub panel here. So most likely you're going to want to use, and it's only giving you an output when you get X number of N bars up, and then it's giving you a BloodHound type of output, right? It's giving you a value of 1 there. So that type of indicator, right? Essentially, you're just looking for the signal that it's providing you, right? It's providing you some kind of signal that, yes, you have X number of N bars up. So that would be a use case for the threshold solver. All right, so let's go into the indicators here and go take a look at that. All right, let's scroll down. All right, there's N bars up. Let's change the bar count to 5. And I believe I had all of these checked on the chart there, right? So obviously it's important to make sure that all of your parameters, match what's set up on the chart here. And all right, and then and there we go. All right, signaling just fine. So I didn't change any of the rules here. I just left it, for a long output, any value greater than 0, right? And so as we can see, this indicator outputs a value of 1, which is obviously greater than 0, and there we go. We get a long output here. And also what we could do is say we could get a short output, if this indicator equals 0. And let's see, yeah, there we go. All right, so there we go. So we're getting a short output when this indicator equals 0, which it does the vast majority of times. And let's go back here. There we go. 2 more, right? So we're getting a long output. And there we go. And let me also add the N bars down. There we go. N bars down. And let's also set this to 5 as well. And there we go. So I'm going to keep BloodHound on the bottom there. There. All right. So let's see if N bars down gives us an output. Yeah, here we go. Okay. So there's N bars down right there. And it looks a lot like BloodHound. So let's change this up a little bit. There we go. All right. So I'm going to go back to the threshold rules here for the N bars up solver, and there. And actually, I'm also, I could just set this to keep this at less than 0, right? Because obviously the indicator does not output a value less than 0, so that effectively turns off the short output there. Actually, if I hit apply, there we go. We can see BloodHound is no longer giving us that short output anymore. But just to make sure, I could also set the output to 0 here, right? Turn that short output off completely by setting it to 0 there. All right, and that works. And let's see if, oh, there we go. Okay, good. So I have 2 places here. All right, so here's the N bars up. Here's the output for that. And so we have this one. And so now let's add another threshold solver here, like so. There we go. So this one will be for N bars down. And so let's go into the indicator list here and find N bars. And it looks like the search didn't quite filter things out like I was hoping. There we go. Okay, there's N bars down. Let's select that, and I also put in a value of 5, right? And as we can see, this indicator only has one plot. They call it trigger. So, and then let's go to the output here. But actually, before we do that, let's take a pause here. So again, right, so here's the N bars down, and that is also outputting a value of 1, a positive 1, right? So both of these indicators are outputting a value of positive 1, right, when there's a trigger there. So let's go into the output section here, the threshold rules. And so for the N bars down, right, if we want to get a short output here, we need to use a greater than 0, like so. If I hit apply, we can see here on BloodHound, we're getting a long output and a short output, right? And that's because, look, both of our conditions are the same, right? So the long output is looking for greater than 0, and the short output, I adjusted that, and it says greater than 0 there. So let's disable. We'll do a double disable here for the long output. Well, yeah. So that, and we'll also, for good measure, set the output to 0 for the long side, right? Hit apply. There, and so there we go. So now BloodHound is only providing a short output for the N bars down there. So click OK. All right. So take a look at the chart. All right. So here we go. Here's N bars up, N bars down. And so if we want to see both of these at the same time, right, since they are 2 separate indicators, we now have to join them together with an OR node, like so. There we have it. Okay, so now, remember, BloodHound's down here on the bottom. So now when N bars up has an output, right, we get a long output. And if N bars down has an output, then we get a short output from BloodHound. And there we go. Okay, yeah, there's a few more N bars up outputs, and we get a long. Yeah, another long. All right, there is some short outputs and a long output. There. So there we have it. Again, I'm not all that familiar with this indicator, but I'm assuming this is probably how most people are going to want to use this indicator here. So this setup here would be for with the trend, right? In other words, when you're using N bars up, right, we're producing a long output. In other words, going with the uptrend. And for N bars down, we're generating a short output, right, to go with the down bars there. So let's kind of label this here. So this would be right with trend. And then if you wanted the inverse, so maybe you're looking for a counter trend signal there. So if the bars are going down, you might be looking for a possible buy signal, right? That counter trend signal. So in that situation, let's see here. So we can see this is set up exactly the same, right? So it's set up the same currently, right? N bars down, we're still getting a short output. For N bars up, we're still getting a long. However, if you wanted the inverse, we could just hit, so on the OR node here, so instead of going in and, we could go in and change the outputs here. So we could, change our conditions here, go in and change all that to basically reverse the outputs. But a little shorter shortcut here would be just to take the OR node and swap it like so. There we go. So this would give us a counter trend output, right? So in other words, when N bar is down, fires off, now we're getting a long output, and when N bar's up, fires off, we're now getting a short output. All right. So yeah, so essentially those are what I would guess the two ways that you would use these two indicators there. All right, so there we have it, David. Actually, hold on. Let's see here. David's saying, all right, so if we uncheck the second two options and then using it as a filter, so no signal if indicator is signaling. Oh, okay. I think I understand this. All right, so I think David wants to use this to prevent a trade signal. All right, so yeah, so in other words, if the indicator is providing some kind of an output, right? So if N bar is down, is generating some kind of an output, is triggering, right? So yeah, so as NinjaTrader calls it, right, the output here, the plot is called trigger. So if the N bar is down is triggering, then use that to block or prevent a trade signal, from some other part of your system there. Yeah, so if that is what you want to do, then let's set up another example here. There. So instead of swapping, we're going to use the inverted option here, right? And so now we can see every bar here has a long and a short output. So when you use this as a filter, right, your trade signals are allowed to go through because it has an output. And then when the N bar's down triggers, you can see you're missing the short output here. So when this is missing, then that would effectively block any short signals from getting through. And if we scroll back here, where was it? Yeah, there we go. And so right here, since there's no long output on that one bar, that would prevent a long output, a long signal from firing off. All right. There. All right. So this OR node is using the inverted there, and that would effectively block signals. That would block with trend signals. That would block with trend signals. And let's see here. There. All right. And just to be clear, the way I kind of set this up doesn't have any kind of influence on the effectiveness or the functionality of things. The fact that I have these two OR nodes connected to these two threshold solvers, right? And oops, let's put that right there, right? And these two OR nodes connected to these two solvers. This has no, this doesn't change the functionality of anything, right? I could have used, these two threshold solvers and connected them to all 4 OR nodes, and it would all be functioning the same there. Let's see here. All right. Anyways, kind of back on track here. So this OR node, right? It's using the inverted and swapped there. So if we take a look at that, right, it's inverted and swapped. And so it will block the counter trend signals. So for example, right, the N bars up produced an output, right, for N bars up. But if we look in BloodHound, and yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to get this rectangle here. All right, hold on. Disconnect that. There we go. Let's delete that. There. Right, so for BloodHound, we can now see that there is a short output missing, which means that a short signal would be blocked or prevented, right, for this uptrend to move here. Right, so this would prevent no shorts, or this would block shorts. And then of course back here, there we go. Let's see, oh good, I can move this one. Yeah. There. And so when the N bars down triggers, right, we can see that the long output is missing from this OR node. And so that would effectively prevent any kind of long signals from occurring there, right? And, again, for new people here, right, the one piece here that's kind of missing from all this would be the AND node, right? So somewhere in your system, you're gonna have the rest of your system, out here, and you're gonna have an AND node at the end of your system, and so you would connect, whatever kind of filtering you're needing to use here, connect that filtering into the AND node, right? And that's what would block with trend signals. There you go. All right, there we go. I think that completes the picture. I think I've gone through every possible scenario now, so that should do it.